In these inscriptions, in these epitaphs, we hear the echoes of our country a century ago. We feel their spirit beckoning us to bigger, more honest and less selfish lives.
We'd all like to pay our serving defence personnel more, but there's going to have to be very tight pay restraint across the public sector, including with defence personnel.
To us, they are Anzacs, but in their day they were fathers, sons, parents, children, cousins and mates, just as you are now.
Private Hill's mental state was fragile and crumbling.
They put me in a padded, not like a bed that holds you down with straps, and they took me on a C-130 Hercules German plane back to Australia, and I woke up in the airport, and that's basically ended my career. And once I came back over to Australia, my career was over, and I was kicked out the front door. That was it.
We remember the brave, the scared and the confused. We remember the good and the bad, the greatness and the smallness of it all.
For years, senior defence personnel have warned of a tidal wave of post-traumatic stress as our troops return from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Sadly, those fears are becoming a reality. There are traumatised soldiers turning to alcohol, drugs and even crime, with some winding up behind bars. One support group estimates as many as 500 veterans are in prisons across Australia.
Their glory shall not be blotted out. It is taken from the Scripture. Their seed shall remain forever. Their glory shall not be blotted out. A century on, we reaffirm this truth.
Behind Australia's prison fences and before its courts is a growing number of traumatised war veterans. One of the country's biggest veteran support groups puts the number somewhere between 300 and 500 across the country, but nobody can say for sure. Defence doesn't keep the figures, neither does the Department of Veterans Affairs, neither do police, and neither do the courts.
Here at Lone Pine, the pact between the past and the present is renewed for the future, for all who seek to understand what it means to be Australian.
Upon return from operational deployment, ADF personnel undergo a psychological assessment, providing an opportunity to discuss any health issues, but a defence spokesman confirmed there are no questions relating specifically to illicit drug use contained in any of these screens.
The government has sent these men to defend our freedom. We owe them the freedom back here in this country. They come back prisoners of addiction, you know, and they've gone off and they've sacrificed their life. Some were killed, some were injured. I believe all are injured. They will come back with emotional scars. We owe them everything. There shouldn't be any limit on resources.
And Stuart Robert, MP, is the Assistant Minister for Defence. He joins us now. They get a better pay rise.
In short, Paul, because we can't afford it. I can only pay my people what I can afford, and I frankly can't afford any more.
Christmas just got a little cheerier for federal politicians. An independent tribunal has awarded them pay rises ranging from $45,000 to more than $100,000 for the Prime Minister. They won't get the money until next year, and they will have to give up some travel benefits as part of the package.
I would be very surprised if anyone in the Commonwealth public sector receives more than is received by our defence forces.
Prime Minister will earn $480,000. That's a pay rise of 30%, taking Julia Gillard's official salary above Barack Obama. The opposition leader's salary will rise to $340,000.
Have you got any comment on that? Do politicians deserve a pay rise?
This purchase, which is $12 billion for the aircraft and equipment associated with the aircraft, and a further $12 billion to keep them operational until 2024. This is in the Defence Capability Plan, which is provided for
in the budget. So this is not new money. It's money which successive governments have carefully put aside to ensure that our nation's defences...
The world's most expensive weapon, the $400 billion F-35, an aircraft whose price tag just went even higher thanks to additional funding. Plagued by delays, massive cost overruns and bloating red tape, the jet's left even its top backers somewhat underwhelmed. And to cover the price, the plane's now being touted to foreign buyers. The F-35 has suffered one setback after another. In the most recent case, the entire fleet was grounded and testing suspended after one of the planes suffered an oil leak. The plane has been suffering well-documented cracks from head to tail. The Pentagon even stopped it from flying within 40 kilometres of a thunderstorm out of fears its fuel tank could explode if struck by lightning. We spoke to the man who helped design the iconic F-16 and A-10 aircraft, and he had little good to say about this, the F-35.
It's one of the worst airplanes we've ever designed. The airplane is a complete mess. And mind you, this is the most expensive single project that the Defence Department has ever undertaken.
Fighting for their country one year, living under a bridge the next, as thousands of Australians collectively spend millions on the pilgrimage to Anzac Cove to honour sacrifices made 100 years ago. An unknown number of more recent war veterans suffer silently among us, lost to the system, unemployed, and without a roof over their heads. In a sign of Australia's penchant for symbolism over substance, official efforts to address poverty, dislocation and homelessness among returned defence personnel go only so far. One result, that temporary facilities for those visiting Gallipoli are superior to the permanent living conditions of some returnees. As one senator noted, some veterans have literally fallen right through the cracks and now live in cars or on the streets. Even the size of the problem is unknown. The Department of Veteran Affairs has no firm idea how many ex-servicemen and women are living rough, revealing in newly released Senate documents that DVA does not currently have reliable data about the extent of homelessness among veterans.
Was Tony Abbott's response.
It's really obvious that